Phil the MMA Dude, back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 104, here with my always brilliant and beautiful co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing on this fine day, sir?
Doing excellent, man. Lots to talk about in the fight world. How are you?
Doing well. So much to discuss. So, ladies and gents, here's a quick recap of what's on tap for today. First, my opening question for Fight Geek. After that, a quick recap of UFC Vegas 28. Quick recap of Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. Then preview of PFL, Shields versus Elkin, Bellator 260, Lima versus Amasov, and preview and picks for UFC 263, Adesanya versus Vittorito. After that, listener questions and more. So this is one of the most stacked shows ever with topics, Fight Geek. That was exhausting, just saying.
Robust.
Yes. This is a loaded episode, folks, so get excited. Okay, so Fight Geek, this brings me to the opening question for you. This is one of those times when a listener question was so damn good that I had to start the show with it.
Okay.
This comes from my very good friend, Cyrus King. That's at Cyrus King. And he wants to know, do you think we will ever see Jon Jones fight again? And if he does, will he be victorious? I say he fights a year from now and loses, but I'm curious y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I think that actually sounds probably right. I definitely think we will see him again. I don't think Jon's retiring from the sport by any means. And the next time we see him, based on the kind of names that we've heard floated around, Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou.
I mean, it's going to be a year from now, right? He said it was going to be a year from now.
Yeah, a year from now-ish. I mean, Jon's already alluded to the fact that if he doesn't get the kind of fight he wants or the fight he wants, he has no problem sitting out for, I think he alluded to, up to another year. So with Francis and
to be official, Lewis, he said that the heavyweight gain was going harder than he expected, and that he's delayed his heavyweight come up for 1 year. That's what
but he basically said he wasn't phrasing it in the quote I saw as something he was struggling with, but more or less just something he's going to be extra ready for, and he's not going to just rush himself into a fight that doesn't make sense. So I guess there's two ways to look at that. I definitely think he'll be out for a little while longer based on the fact that Francis is gonna. Is that Lewis fight booked, or is that still just rumored?
It's next, but it has not been officially booked yet.
Because in that instance, I could see, maybe Stipe just sitting out to get the, let's say.
Well, Dana said that. No, Dana said Stipe fights the winner of Lewis and Ngannou too.
So that actually would put Jon Jones at a year out at least before he's able to get the fight he wants.
Well, here's where it gets interesting, right? Is because right now Jones could have, if he wanted, he could have gotten the fight with Ngannou, right? We all know that because, strike while the iron's hot. Jones is still a big brand. But what's interesting is there's going to be new stars in a year. A year is a long time in MMA especially. So
100%. And if Jon stays out, I mean, as this sport grows, I see more and more people every day and hear more and more people every day that aren't really familiar with who and why Jon Jones is who he is today, that didn't see the earlier part of his career.
And if you watched his last few fights, they were obviously very mediocre performances.
If he's out for another year, that will have put him out for an extended period of time, and he hasn't looked in peak form in years. I would say it's unlikely he would win that comeback fight.
Yep, absolutely. So you agree?
Good question, but it'll be interesting to see. I feel like the Jon saga is just dragging out. And to my previous point, this is a game where if you're gone too long, you can be forgotten in 3 years, even if you're Jon Jones. Even if he comes back, is he a huge pay-per-view draw with this new audience?
Especially a year from now, Fight Geek. From now.
When has he? I don't know. It's an interesting play. I know he wants the fight and the pay, but I feel like his value is just actually declining as time passes.
Oh, absolutely. I think Jones versus Ngannou was such a hot fight, right after UFC 260 when Ngannou beat Stipe. Everyone was calling for it. But the truth is, as these negotiations have negotiations have dragged on and on and on and on, and Jones has been very opaque about his financial requests. We know it's way more than $10 million. He hung up the phone with Hunter Campbell when he offered him $10 million up front, plus pay-per-view on the back end, which is a great deal. I think the fight's starting to die a little bit because, I'm personally, for me, I'm getting the impression Jones doesn't want to fight Francis, and it's making me feel like that kid at the playground that's being a bully, that's trying to force the kid who doesn't want to fight the other guy into fighting. You know what I mean? Jones doesn't want to fight Francis.
You could never be a bully.
Jones doesn't want to fight Francis, and it feels like we're being bullies by trying to pressure him because he is clearly frightened, which is fine. Listen, I'm frightened of fighting Francis, and you wouldn't fight Francis either.
Let's keep it moving, okay? Now you're getting into all your...
Okay. I'm just saying, we wouldn't fight him either. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyways...
Well, I'm just saying, people talk about Francis winning everything as a foregone conclusion. Imagine if in the first exchange with Derek Lewis, he gets clicked. Derek Lewis has...
It's possible. It is.
In heavyweight history, and then, what is John waiting for at that point? I don't think Derek Lewis versus John Jones is the biggest seller in the legacy fight he's looking for. So.
Oh, to be clear, I don't think Jones would fight Lewis either. Oh yeah, let me be clear.
No, he's not going to fight Derek Lewis.
No way would he agree to fight Lewis. If he's not fighting Ngannou, he's not fighting Lewis. So.
And then it looks like Stipe is the best option again at that point, basically because he's the most winnable fight and he's the biggest name that's not the champion.
It's just weird. I don't really know what I don't really know what Jones was thinking when he said, I'm going to fight the winner of Stipe versus Ngannou. I guess he really thought Stipe would win, but that seems pretty reckless, I mean, he really didn't consider that Francis could win that?
I don't know, but we wasted too much time on this.
Moving on.
To talk about.
Quick recap of UFC Vegas 28. Listen, I'm going to keep it real, Fight Geek. This was a card that was criticized on paper, and it's one of the rare cards that's criticized on paper. Then you watch it and you go, oh, wow, that card sucked. I'm just being honest. Horrible card. Horrendous. One of the worst that I've seen in the last few years, for sure.
I don't really like to say cards are horrible and not.
But this was sucked. No. But we have to be honest with our listeners. But I'll say that the event
drug forever. It felt like I was watching fights for 15 hours on Saturday.
I was having trouble staying awake. I can't even lie. So Jairzinho Rozenstruik defeats Augusto Sakai again with 1 second remaining. Can you believe it? 4:59 of round number 1. He gets that TKO via punches.
It was about the only punches he threw in the whole first round again.
It's all he needed. It's all he needed.
Well, I think for whatever reason, that last 10 seconds of the round, you know how guys generally feel a little bit of comfort in like flurrying a bit?
Yeah,
and letting go of their hands. I mean, clearly you see that he has tremendous power because in those segments of the fight when he feels comfortable, really releasing in letting go, he has monstrous power. But it's just frustrating to see that, as a guy who's touted as a kickboxer, he really doesn't show, a lot of technical acumen as a striker. He sits in there, just kind of waits and waits and waits and waits for the perfect shot, and I just don't see that as an effective strategy versus the guys at the top. It just takes him too long.
Maybe this is overly harsh, but I kind of view Rozenstruik as a significantly worse version of Derek Lewis.
Yes, for sure. Derek Lewis...
But much worse. To be clear, I'm not... Guys, Derek Lewis fans, don't get mad.
Well,
way
Derek
worse.
Lewis he throws... I mean, I've never seen Jairzinho Rozenstruik throw a head kick or a flying knee, though. So that
Lewis is much better, of course.
Has much more forward pressure. Obviously, I think Derek Lewis is much larger, so he's able to march forward and really be more aggressive. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and then let me ask you this, just a quick follow-up question here. With the fact that we know that Ngannou versus Lewis 2 is next, and with Dana coming out and saying that Stipe fights that winner, and on top of that, the inference that Jones will likely fight the next winner, is it getting to the point at heavyweight where it's so bottled up that these fights are meaningless? Because I kept trying to think, what did this win mean for Rozenstruik? And I don't have a good answer, Fight Geek.
I mean, It means that,
What does it change for him?
The court of public opinion, I think he's on a 2-fight winning streak again, and now he has a big knockout. So at least whoever it is he faces next, he has some momentum as, a guy who can rebuild as a contender. So, I mean, it's still a win in the UFC and a highlight to show before his next fight. So it's always good momentum. But, yeah, as far as the title picture goes, I don't think he's anywhere close to that.
And do you think that it's true to say, is it fair to say that the next 3 heavyweight title fights are already scheduled? And by that I mean Ngannou Lewis 2, winner faces Stipe, winner of that faces Jones.
I think that is definitely fair to assume.
Okay, that's quite the bottleneck, huh?
I would say so.
All right,
Definitely say so. But, I mean, when you're thinking about, Francis versus Stipe 3 and then Francis versus Jones, that's an ideal scenario. You're asking a lot. You're like, once Francis gets through.
No, I didn't know. Wait, whoa. I didn't say that. If Ngannou loses.
No, but I think the common perception is that Francis is going to walk through the Black Beast, walk through a Stipe trilogy, and then get to John Jones and walk through him. That's a lot of work in the next 18 months to 2 years.
I don't think he's going to walk through Derek Lewis. I think that's his biggest test in a while.
I think Derek Lewis will come guns blazing this time based on his last performance and the fact that it's Francis Ngannou. I think he'll just – I think that Derek Lewis will be kill or be killed in this next one. I just think he'll come out and either land something enormous early or just catch something enormous early. I know that's not much of a prediction, but –
I'll say that I'll say this. It would be a very ballsy strategy.
Well, they know they can't stare at each other again. If this is a bad performance, I don't think Derek Lewis will ever get another title shot. He already
there's gonna be a finish. It's 5. Yeah. There will be a finish. Don't you worry about
100%.
that.
But I just mean the mentality. Both of these guys know what happened in the first fight. Both of them were gun shy. It was a horrible fight. It's one of the legendary horrible fights in UFC history. So they're both going to come out and want to be more aggressive. Plus, they're both way better than they were then, and they're both much more confident. I mean, Francis, I think, has knocked out 4 straight opponents since then, and Black Beast has knocked out at least a couple opponents since then. So.
Oh, yeah.
I actually love that fight without all the surrounding drama. It should be fun. I know we were all excited the first time and it didn't live up, but I think
this one will.
Really fun.
This one will. And as a little bit of an Ngannou fan, if I'm just being honest, I can tell you in an unbiased way that I'm very concerned about that fight. I think Lewis absolutely can win.
Yeah, I think if it gets, Francis really, is awesome in those chaotic moments when he can just throw. But I think Black Beast can meet him there and hurt him. So it will be interesting to see. But let's keep it moving.
Yeah, I know. I really wasn't too crazy about this card if I'm just keeping it real. So, what did you want to cover on this? I want to keep it moving pretty quick.
Ponzinibbio versus Baeza was awesome.
Good
back
call.
and forth war.
Ponzinibbio showed a lot of heart, huh?
Yes, he showed his fighting spirit. He was in big trouble again early after a knockout loss. And if you had been listening to some of his commentary, he was talking about he was the better fighter last time, and sometimes you just get caught.
Yeah.
And, he's been talking about he was out for a long time and his body hasn't recovered. So to see him in big trouble in the first was very scary. But to see him kind of, weather the storm and then really start to turn the tides, and then you saw kind of Baeza's inexperience towards the end, kind of just standing in front of him and not really able to do much. It was an awesome fight, back and forth, big win for Pons. I still think Baeza's super tough. I was glad he didn't get finished there. As a young fighter, you like to see them make the bell just so they don't take that end concussive blow. But awesome fight there.
Totally agree. Santiago Ponzinibbio, by the way, breaks into the number 13 ranked welterweight contender this week. Who would you like to see him fight next?
Jeff Neal.
Does Jeff Neal have a fight?
I don't think so. Jeff Neal's coming off a loss.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think if he has a fight or not. He may not. You might be right.
I thought that was a good call.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, I don't think he has a fight. I like Jeff Neal. Yeah, I like that. And then who's Li Jinglang fighting again? I think he just got a fight.
I am not sure.
Okay. Muslim Salikov at number 15 could be an interesting one.
Yep, he was on this card. He looked good as well, beating Trinaldo, who actually looked really good.
Number 14 is Sean Brady. Obviously he's fighting Kevin Lee next. Gosh, Kevin Lee has the hardest resume besides RDA. Can we agree?
He hasn't taken an easy fight in a long time.
Kevin Lee just goes through the fire. It's unbelievable.
Right. No, for sure. Well, I mean, he's been out forever, but yeah, I get what you're saying. He takes on tough opponents.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so anything else we wanted to cover here?
When's the last time he fought 3 times in a year, though?
Well, long time ago.
Yeah. So once he puts together at least twice in a year, that'd be nice.
All right. Can we move on to a quick recap of Paul versus Mayweather? You know we got to talk about it.
Oh, please make it quick. But yes, let's do it.
All right, Paul versus Mayweather, everyone, was a disaster, a shit show, a disgrace. It was so boring, such a horrible fight. But more than that, this is a true story, Fight Geek. I'm embarrassed. My buddies who watch fights did not want to come over on Saturday for the fights. They usually do, but let's be honest, this was a bad card. It was a boring card. They didn't want to come over. They hit me up on Sunday morning. I wake up to all these texts. Phil, what's up? Well, Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather? Coming up, what time? Blah, blah, blah. They all want to come over for this fight. So I post a thing. Everyone puts in $10, and yes, we pay for it. Dun, dun,
and the funniest thing, the most entertaining thing of the whole night was Chad Johnson getting knocked down.
Ocho Cinco, a.k.a. Chad Johnson, got knocked down. The streaming was 90% not working, which was insane.
I can't believe you actually paid U.S. currency to watch.
Just remember, whoa. I paid about $5.99. So I paid about $6. $6.
Oh, you guys all went in on it.
Of course. You think I'm going to pay more than $6? No way.
Interesting.
Yeah, so anyways, still didn't work. Never, guys, do not buy Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley, or you're a tool. Get it illegally or don't watch it at all. Showtime Sports proved they cannot show anything.
Don't be promoting crime.
I'm just saying. Or don't watch it. But, I mean, obviously Showtime Sports is incapable of airing a pay-per-view that's highly requested, because that was a disaster. Anyways, I thought Mayweather really humiliated himself. I thought it was embarrassing that he couldn't get Paul out of there. I thought Logan Paul had a lot of moments, and I think Logan Paul's a horrible boxer, and it was a big insult to boxing. Do you think Mayweather hurt his legacy?
Did you just say had a lot of moments? You just said he had a lot of moments.
Logan Paul had moments, absolutely.
You said he had a lot of moments? What does that mean?
It means that he didn't get blown out 8-0 like he should have.
It means that he had one flurry that looked like an angry younger brother running somebody out of their bedroom.
Are you saying that Mayweather dominated that fight?
No, I mean he won at least 5 rounds to 2, but dominated.
Wait, 5-3. It was 8. 5-3, you mean?
Oh yeah, 6-2, 5-3.
No
that
way.
Range. But what I'm saying is Floyd Mayweather is 6 to 8 years away from being any form of his prime. This was an exhibition. It's clear that Floyd is training only to a certain extent. If you can look at that fight and look at Floyd Mayweather physically and how he looks at 44 years old and claim that that's the Floyd Mayweather that earned any of his 50-0 legacy, then you are the one who's unfamiliar with who Floyd Mayweather is.
Guys, listen how mad Fight Geek is. He's such a boxing
with
stan.
Floyd Mayweather's legacy.
That had nothing to do with Floyd Mayweather's legacy? Okay.
Absolutely nothing to do with his boxing legacy.
He let a YouTuber who's never won a fight, amateur or otherwise.
There was no judges. It was an exhibition. It was 8 rounds.
How did he not get him out of there, Fight Geek? Tell me that.
What do you mean, how did he? Floyd Mayweather isn't a knockout puncher.
He got McGregor out of there. He can't get Logan Paul.
Well, Conor McGregor's 30 pounds lighter. I'm not making any excuses, but this is an exhibition.
Kind of sounds like you are, though, bro.
Rounds. Well, I'm just saying, you're just dying to be like the headline guy who's shouting from the rooftops.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Floyd Mayweather hurt his legacy somehow.
He did hurt his legacy, bro.
He probably made $50 million
for sure
to basically have the equivalent of a sparring session. I don't think, if you are looking at Floyd's performance and dissecting it relative to his 49-0 career, then what I'm saying is you don't understand boxing or Floyd Mayweather.
You sound like Kevin Iole in the article he wrote yesterday when he had dementia and said that Floyd could have finished the fight at any moment, but chose not to.
Floyd is old.
What do you think of Kevin Iole saying Floyd could have finished it at any moment but chose not to? I think that's pretty embarrassing.
Well, I don't think that Floyd possesses much power in his prime, let alone at 44 years old versus a guy who's about 5 weight classes bigger.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
This is common sense. I don't understand why it's controversial.
Well, last thing, and then we're going to move on from this fight because people have had enough. Last thing, people were saying there was a moment in, I think, the 5th or 6th round where Mayweather landed clean on Paul. Paul did look hurt, that is true, but he was kind of leaning on Mayweather. People were saying that Mayweather was holding him up to prevent a KO. What do you think? What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's just ridiculous. He
was
clearly
ridiculous.
He was hit, got stunned, but he did nothing that many fighters haven't done, where you kind of lock up, you lean on somebody. Again, I think this is kind of, people don't understand. Logan Paul was actually using tactics in this fight. He was using his size and leaning on and hugging and staying, I'm not saying he was, doing anything at a professional level, but he clearly had trained in ways to survive. I mean, I thought him being able to tie Floyd up and kind of stall was more or less the most impressive thing that he did of the whole night. And that was just another example of it, where he took a shot that was pretty solid.
Yeah. Okay, he took a solid shot. He made a lot of money. Yeah. We agree. It was a circus, but still.
But there's no... his legs don't go limp there. He doesn't drop to his knees, so there's no way he was unconscious. Okay, that's just ridiculous.
Fair enough. I totally agree with you. Okay, let's move on before we lose everyone. So, preview PFL Shields versus Elkin. If I can just start off with this, look, Claressa Shields is an extremely elite boxing talent in female boxing. And because she feels that there wasn't enough money in it, and there likely isn't enough money in it, I agree with her, she has now gotten into MMA, and all I can say is that with her making her pro debut, I just have so much respect for Claressa Shields. I think that it's a really gutsy move, and I think that anyone who doesn't respect it, is a little bit of a fool, frankly.
Yeah, I don't know who doesn't respect it. I think everyone's excited to see how she does.
Yeah, so that brings me to my question. How do you think she does against Brittany Elkin?
Well, Brittany Elkin is 3-6 in her professional mixed martial arts career. So I think that she's coming in versus a beatable opponent. I think there's going to be a talent difference just from a physical standpoint, and I expect Claressa Shields, who is obviously elite and in her form of combat, to come in and be able to adapt to things like takedown defense and keeping the fight where she needs it to, and I fully expect her to get a stoppage victory in her first fight.
Wow. Okay. I mean, just for the record, here's my thoughts, and please tell me if you think I'm being over dramatic, Fight Geek. If Claressa Shields goes out there and gets, let's say, first round finish in a highlight fashion, I think she explodes in a way that Kayla Harrison did not. I think that she's got, how do I put this? I mean, let's just be honest. She's younger than Kayla. She's got sex appeal. She's very pretty. That's just the truth. She's a very, very talented boxer. She's arguably the most talented female boxer in the world. I think she's got so many marketability elements that she could become a really big star off a few small wins. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. But the problem, as long as she stays in PFL, doesn't fight Kayla Harrison, she's going to have an opportunity to have impressive performances. It just depends on how insistent they are into rushing her, to the very top of the sport.
Well, that would be foolish to put her against Kayla. Then you'd be killing you'd be killing a star.
Right, and I think that's why these aren't, tournament or season fights. These are just one-offs with Shields and Harrison, right?
Right.
Or no, Harrison.
Harrison's fighting in tournaments now.
But if you remember the first year,
yes,
Harrison was
absolutely.
more just like a
I remember because I saw live in Chicago sitting next to my friend Bilal Muhammad.
Right. So, yeah, I think Claressa Shields is very interesting. I'm excited to have this kind of, fighting on a Thursday night. It should be a lot of fun. And we got Anthony Pettis coming back from a loss in the co-main.
Against undefeated 8-0 Alex Martinez.
Yep. Don't know a ton about Alex Martinez, but I know Anthony Pettis is in a tricky point in his career. He was just signed as a big-name free agent, lost his first fight, got roughed up pretty bad not too long ago. But I've been kind of watching his socials. He's been training and boxing more from what I've seen, so I expect him to come out and really try to assert himself rather than be, kind of the nail as he was in the previous fight. So I'm going to ride with Anthony Pettis here.
Absolutely. I'm going to ride with Anthony Pettis via unanimous decision as well. Do we have any other fights we want to cover on this card? Again, we've got so much to cover.
100% want to cover Brendan. I can't ever say this last name. Loknane.
I think that's it.
Versus Tyler Diamond, 20-3 versus 12-1. This should
be
a very fun fight.
Give me Brendan Loknane via unanimous decision.
Yeah, I'm going to actually agree with you there, but these are two guys, in my opinion, that should be in the UFC. These should be featherweights in the UFC.
Even Tyler Diamond?
Yeah, Tyler Diamond, 12-1 record. He's a winner. He was one of the better guys on his season of Tough. I don't know why he never panned out in the UFC, but I thought he would 100% be one of those guys.
All right. Okay. Anything else
we'll
you want
call
to cover?
out. I mean, they're all good. Marcin Held versus Olivier Aubin-Mercier, two former UFC fighters on this card.
I didn't even know that OAM, Olivier Aubin-Mercier, had been signed to Bellator.
This isn't Bellator. This is PFL. And if you watch it once in a while, you'd know.
Well, I'm proudly not a fan of the fake, no elbows allowed MMA, so-called.
Well, look at this lineup.
That's not. By the way, if you don't allow elbows, it's not real mixed martial arts. That's why I don't like PFL. So that's what's up.
Okay. All right.
You challenged me, and now I'm answering.
I know. Well, it's your loss if you don't want to watch these fights. All right. Well, all right. Let's move on to the Bellator 260.
Bellator 260, Lima versus Amosov. This is a great main event. Wow. Bellator welterweight title on the line. Champion Lima versus number one contender, undefeated 25-0, Yaroslav Amosov. Who you got, man? What a fight, huh?
Yeah, great main event. Great title fight. Got to take Douglas Lima here. I like Amosov, but I think he's going to struggle on the feet versus Lima. Obviously, Lima is one of the best, kickers in the game. Very powerful kicks. Hard to take down. Hard to keep down. The places where Amosov would have big success, I really see Lima being able to avoid. And I think Lima just kind of beats him up from distance and wins a unanimous decision.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Little known fact for everyone, I actually DM'd Yaroslav Amosov fairly recently, asking him to come on the show. He was so polite, but politely basically said that he didn't feel comfortable speaking English enough, but we could send him questions and he would answer them. So that's something we may definitely take advantage of after this fight. What a nice guy. Such a down-to-earth guy on social media, responding to me immediately. So I just wanted to give him that quick shout-out for being so nice, so kind, so down-to-earth. I unfortunately also agree that Lima's going to get the win. I don't think Lima's going to get a stoppage. I think he's going to win a unanimous decision, but I expect the fight to be highly competitive.
100%. I think it's going to be fun either way. You know, Douglas Lima, in my opinion, is the second or third best, welterweight in the world right now. So he's must-see TV if you're an MMA fan.
He wouldn't beat Usman, Covington, or Burns, but I think he would probably beat every other UFC welterweight.
I mean, him and Burns is.
He wouldn't beat Burns. Burns hits too hard, man. No?
Lima kicks too hard and keeps the fight standing. I mean, I don't know. That's not a gimme. And I mean, Douglas Lima versus Colby Covington's an amazing fight.
Yeah, I mean, you know that I've been saying I wish Douglas Lima would go to the UFC for years. You know I've been saying that.
Yeah, well, by the time he gets there, he's going to be a little too old.
I know, we know.
All right, the co-main event, we've got Paul Daly versus Jason Jackson. This is actually a really fun one. Who you got here?
Man, listen, I've been underestimating Paul Daly for years and years. I've been disrespecting his legacy, underestimating him, and it's going to stop now. I've got Paul Daly via second-round TKO.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Daly's kind of seems like the obvious answer here, but I'm actually going to go with Jason Jackson. He's a guy who's kind of ascending to his prime at 30 years old. He's on a 4-fight winning streak with wins over Jordan Maine, Benson Henderson, and Neiman Gracie. Daly's last fight was a slugfest with Saba Homasi. Back and forth. He was in big trouble in that fight.
But Saba Homasi is a very good fighter, Figgy.
He is a very good fighter, but I think Jason Jackson is a better fighter and a better prospect than Saba Homasi. He's bigger, stronger, younger, better win streak. So, yeah, I think Jason Jackson actually gets the unanimous decision here.
All right. Okay, really quick. Next fight down is Aaron Pico, one of my favorites, despite being 7-3. I love this guy, versus Aiden Lee. This is a featherweight bout at 145. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not the most up to date on Aiden Lee, so I know that.
Aaron well, you know Aaron, of course.
Huh?
You know Aaron.
Well, of course I know Aaron, but I don't want to just pick the guy I know because I know him. So. But I think here, Aaron's shown some improvement in the areas he's needed to. He's obviously starting to come into his own physically. I think he's going to be able to fight smart and get the win here.
Yeah, I mean, so in regards to Aiden Lee, he's 4-2 in his last 6, which isn't great, but it's also not horrible. He's won his last 2 fights, then he lost the 2 before that. I've got Aaron Pico winning this via second-round knockout. But if he doesn't land the knockout, I don't see Aaron Pico winning a decision.
I think Aaron Pico will be able to institute his wrestling a bit here. He's shown some good takedowns and top control in his last couple fights. But other than we want to keep it moving. Let's just call out a couple names.
We definitely got to keep it moving. We've still got UFC 263.
Yeah, Nick Newell's on this card also. So again, stacked week. We've got Bellator 260, PFL 4, and yes, let's get into the other stuff.
Okay, moving on. So what do we have next? We've got preview and picks for UFC 263. Adesanya versus Vittorito. This time we're going to be a little different. We're going to go from bottom down, but I am going to start off with...
Bottom up, Phil.
What did I say? Oh, bottom down. My bad.
So we're starting at the bottom of the card and going up.
But we're not going... Wait, we're not doing every fight here.
Yes, we are. Let's go. These are good fights.
Okay, wow. We're doing every fight.
Carlos Philippe versus Jake Collier. This one's easy. Come on.
I got Carlos Philippe winning this one via unanimous decision. Go ahead.
Yep. Jake Collier, one of the most out-of-shape guys on the roster. I definitely would take Carlos here.
Let's keep it moving. All right. Faraz Ziam
we don't have to call them all out, but Steven Peterson versus Chase Hooper, that's one I'm excited about. Thoughts there?
I'm rooting for Chase Hooper, but I'm concerned for him, to be honest. I'm concerned for him with this. I think Peterson is tough. I think he's a little underrated. And I think he might win a split decision.
He is tough and underrated, but doesn't he seem like the tailor-made kind of opponent for Chase Hooper to
But he's
get
so
hurt again?
he's so durable is the only thing.
But Chase is awesome off of his back, throwing up submissions and stuff. Steven Peterson could hurt Chase, be dominating, and still get wrapped up from the bottom. So
That's true.
I'm actually
That's true.
taking Chase Hooper via submission here.
Wow. And by the way, what a big win that would be. What, did Chase shave his head and get a shortened haircut? I'm looking at his...
I think that's his old picture. But
Oh,
all right,
wow, he looks
let's
way better without the goofy long hair. Chase, get rid of the long hair, bro.
He
Wow,
looks a lot
Chase is a handsome fellow if he gets rid of that horrible hair. I didn't even realize
who you
that.
think is handsome? Let's keep it moving.
Sorry,
Hakeem
bro.
Dawodu
I'm
versus
comfortable with everything in my life. Unlike maybe you.
Dawodu versus Evlo. Come on, help me out here.
Evlov. I'm not going to help you out. What do you mean? I screw them up
Come
all the
on.
time. It's time for you to screw them up. I always screw them up.
12-1-1 versus 14-0. This is sleeper fight of the night right here.
Agreed.
Amazing
I've got
prospect fight.
Evliov winning this one.
Yeah, I do too. I think he'll take a decision. I think Dawodu will have his moments, but I think Evloev will be able to outlast him. How long is Hakeem Dawodu going to be a prospect? I got to look at his card. I've been seeing this guy fight for what seems like forever, but
I mean, he's 12-1-1. He's a real talent, you know.
yeah, he's coming off a 5-fight winning streak. And
So
he
you
just
say
beat
how long is he
Subaira.
going to be a prospect? Almost like you're annoyed with him, but he's 12-1-1.
Yeah, he just, I guess, hasn't taken that big step up. I mean, he's on a 5-fight winning streak, and he's fighting an obscure, undefeated fighter, you know?
I highly doubt he said, "Hey Dana, I'm looking for a obscure and undefeated fighter."
No, I understand.
I mean,
that,
maybe
but my
he
question
did,
is,
but then he
if
needs a
he's
psychological
if he's on a
evaluation.
5-fight winning streak, why isn't he getting someone who's a little more conducive to him going towards the top? If he wins this fight, it does nothing.
Serious
for him
question.
in game
Is
value.
that serious question though? I'm not being a smartass. Is that on Hakeem or is that on Dana and the matchmakers?
That's on Hakeem Dawodu's management squarely to figure out why he's fighting this guy on a 5-fight winning streak in the featherweight division. That's absurd.
Okay, I think that, you know what? I think that's actually a very fair answer, frankly.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
moving
I
on.
mean,
This fight I like. Lauren Murphy versus Joanne Calderwood at Flyweight. This is a fun one. Number 5 versus number 6 contender.
100%, and it has title implications.
Definitely.
I know Calderwood is sliding a bit. Lauren Murphy, I believe, is on a 4-fight winning streak and has a couple impressive wins.
We've got a question about this fight. By the way,
Go
we've got a listener question about this fight, so I want to be careful.
So we won't break it down too much, but I'm leaning Lauren Murphy here. She's just kind of slow and steady wins the race. She's improved defensively. She hits pretty hard, and I think she's going to be able to do enough to win a split decision here.
Okay, annoyingly, I'm leaning Lauren Murphy too, but more breakdown on this fight is to come with the listener questions. Anyways, next up, and this is a great one. This is great. Eric Anders versus Darren the Dentist Stewart. This is a lot of fun.
At first glance, this is an easy one to pick Anders, but I'm going to go ahead and pick Stewart.
Bro, I have Stewart by second round KO.
Yeah, I think Stewart is definitely the better striker. Anders.
Why do you say it's easy to pick? Why did you say it's easy to pick?
I don't know.
Anders?
I just feel like people have, like.
No, I immediately thought
Anders.
Stewart. I immediately thought Stewart would win.
I immediately thought Eric Anders but then I broke it down and kind of looked a little deeper at their past opponents and methods of victory and loss and different things. So yeah, I just think Darren Stewart obviously has many more paths to victory. I think Anders has just been really flat in his last few performances.
Yup. Both cool people. Shout out, Eric. Thank you for sending me the streams.
Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell. This is another amazing fight.
This is an amazing fight. I got Dober, man. Am I crazy?
No, I am actually taking Drew Dober. But when you said Dober, man, it's like Doberman. You know?
It's like a dog. They got to call him Drew the Doberman Dober.
Oh, that would have been like so 1999 UFC.
Yeah, I guess you're kind of right.
Anyways, Drew Dober here, I think, he's obviously fought a lot of the higher end talent in the lightweight division. This is a big step up for Brad Riddell. I think Drew Dober will be able to, stay in advantageous spots. He's not going to get taken down and pounded out. He's too seasoned and powerful for that. So I'm taking Drew Dober here.
Agreed. Okay, moving on to Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Lightweight.
Yep.
Light heavyweight battle.
Light heavyweight, I'm taking Jamal Hill. I've been very impressed with his striking from range. He's got, length. He's a very crisp striker. Paul Craig has a tendency to get hit. I know Paul Craig's, a tough guy and has submissions and whatnot, but I think Jamal Hill's going to pick him apart from distance.
I got Jamal Hill via third round TKO.
Excellent. And then another amazing fight. Damian Maia versus Belal Muhammad.
Love it. Love it. My
love it.
The guy, my PFL 2 partner in crime. Dude, exactly. I sat next to a PFL 2, Belal. Look, Belal's from Chi-Town, so some people say I'm biased. Belal via unanimous decision, and it's going to be 30-26, not 30-27. Ooh, what do you think of that? Don't say I'm playing it safe. I just said he's going to 30-26 Maia.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. But I see him, being able to keep it standing, winning on the feet. I'll take Belal Muhammad via split decision here.
Wow. Okay.
I think it's going to be close. I think Maia's still tricky enough. He's obviously smart enough.
Belal's gotten so much better, though. That's what you're not considering.
Yeah, but Belal Muhammad doesn't possess one-shot knockout power, so it's not like he's going to get Maia out of there. Though. We've seen Maia, didn't he attempt like 25 takedowns on Woodley? I mean, he's going to be... And
how many of those did he get?
No, I know, but while you're attempting takedowns, you don't generally get knocked out or injured, so it's a form of not just, methodically fighting, but also, eliminating some of the clock, elongating the fight.
If Belal reads it correctly, he can throw a flying knee and knock him the fuck out.
Well, he could if he was, Jose Aldo in his prime, but he's Belal Muhammad.
All right. Okay, I think you're being a little disrespectful to Belal, but that's okay.
His strengths are really his cardio, his pace. He's
what about him being an all-around good grinder with very few
100%
faults?
Good grinder, and that's what I'm saying. He's going to grind Damian Maia to a split decision victory.
Okay, fair enough. Very fair. That'd be, by the way, big fight, and it'd be a huge win for Belal, and I wish him the best because I like the kid.
100%. And then Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. I'm going to be there live, by the way. Can't wait for this one.
So everyone, worth noting that Fight Geek is going to be at UFC 263 live. He's going to be reporting live from the event via Twitter and Instagram. So, make sure that you're following Split Decision Podcast, not only on Twitter, but also on Instagram. Make sure you're following Fight Geek, and obviously me, but, you better be following me.
Well, you better be following me, Phil, so you can tune in.
I'm not following you, bro. You know I can't follow you.
I know you'll be jealous that I'm there watching Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards fight.
I'm not jealous. All right, I am jealous. All right, I am. It's true. Whatever.
All right, so Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz.
Worth noting, this is a 5-round fight, despite not being the co-main event.
I know, the last 3 fights are all
This is the first time in history we've got a non-title, non-co-main event that's 5 rounds.
So as much as it pains me, I don't see how Leon loses this fight. He's bigger, stronger, faster, younger,
Unfortunately, I completely agree. I think Leon Edwards is going to win by unanimous decision 50-45.
I think Nate could... Leon Edwards, we haven't really seen drug into deep waters in like the 3rd or 4th. So if the fight really gets elongated into the 4th round, that's when you see Nate, generally having more success when the other guys need to breathe a bit. So I could see Nate winning a round, maybe 2, but I predict, a doctor's stoppage based on, the scar tissue on Nate's face. Everybody in the world knows that the right side of his face is, I mean, even when they show pictures of it now, you can just see the scar tissue there. Just cuts too easily. I'm sure Leon will get to it, by the mid to late third round.
Okay. So I would be shocked if Leon gets the finish, but if he does, it'll be a great win for him. Moving on to the co-main event, the UFC Flyweight Championship. Deiveson Figueiredo, a.k.a. Figgy, versus Brandon Moreno 2. Who you got, Fight Geek, and how?
I got to take Deiveson Figueiredo here. I know the first fight was super close, and I love Brandon Moreno. But, Figgy is one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world right now. I've been kind of following both of them, and Figueiredo looks in unbelievable shape, phenomenal shape. I think he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder because of how close the first fight is and how perception is. I see Figueiredo really establishing his dominance here.
And I was hoping to disagree with you, but unfortunately I just don't. I've got Deiveson Figueiredo via second round knockout here.
Wow, no, I think this will be another decision. Brandon Moreno is extremely tough in game.
I understand, but that Figgy was in the hospital before, the night before the last fight. You remember that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing fight. It's going to be all action. To get to see these three fights live, I'm pretty giddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we are so far behind. This is about to be one of our longest episodes ever. We've got so much more to do. Moving on to...
Well, where do you got to be?
Hey, I'm just saying, man, I got places to go and people to see, man. Yo, don't give me that. You're always like, this is going too long. I've got to go. Right?
I got a life, man.
All right, okay.
Let's get to this main event.
The main event, the UFC Middleweight Championship. Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vittorito. Do you want to go first or should I?
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Israel Adesanya had a lackluster performance versus Jan. I think that, he's obviously going to be the much quicker fighter here. Israel uses unbelievable feints. I think he'll stay ahead of Vittori, and I think he's going to win a decision here with a lot of tactics. I think he'll neutralize Vittori a bit. Everybody thinks they're the bull till they're in there with Adesanya. Costa wasn't really able to get any forward momentum, and I think Vittori will, but I don't think it'll be enough.
Wow. Really shocked that you think Marvin Vittori is going to go the distance because I'm very irritated and agree. By the way, Vittori, for the record, everyone, Vittori has never been finished via strikes, nor has he ever been submitted. He has only lost via decision. I believe he's going to give an extremely competitive fight to Israel, despite everyone thinking Israel's going to win easily. Israel will win.
27 years old, sorry to cut you off, his chin is like as strong as it's ever going to be.
Absolutely. Israel's going to win this. Ready? Via split decision again! Dun, dun, dun.
And it's gonna be like these guys have fought for 8 rounds and there's no clear winner.
Marvin's gonna be so angry and it's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, it's hard to see Marvin really, getting Israel out of there, but
he's gonna wrestle nonstop.
Stranger things have happened. I think he'll come in. He'll try to be brooding and forward pressure and very technical, but the tactics that Israel has and the quickness and the counter striking, I think will keep him honest early.
Absolutely. Okay, really quickly before we go to break, we've got to cover the fact that Starr Overeem is going back to Glory Kickboxing. I personally love this news. What do you think of it?
100%. This is a good decision for Alistair at this point of his career. There's no reason for him to be, worrying about takedowns and whatnot. He can still go be a legend there. It's another reason to tune into Glory. So, yeah, I think it was actually, there's nothing for him to prove in Bellator or PFL. So I actually think this is a good move, and actually makes the interest in Alistair Overeem is greater with him going to Glory than if he were to go to like a Bellator, in my opinion.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Okay, so with that, guys, we're going to be right back with listener questions and more. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey everyone, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 104, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek, here with my favorite section of all, and that is Listener Questions! I'm trying to scream less loud because I don't want to. I've heard.
You sounded like you were dying.
I've gotten a few listeners saying, "Hey Phil, can you not scream so loud on the listener question scream? It surprises me, it alerts me, it scares me." So I'm trying to respect that.
Wow, really? Interesting.
Hey, I don't blame them if they've got it on at work.
Anything for the people. Let's get to the questions. The people's questions.
The people's questions. All right, you got one?
Not quite, but...
All right, I think that kind of sums up you as the co-host. But anyways, no, I'm kidding. Moving on. Okay, so this comes from my man. That's at Mixta Love this guy. Give him a follow if you don't. Seriously. Does the Jojo versus Murphy fight have any title implications? Also, does Leon Edwards finally get to lose a title fight if he wins on Saturday? #AskSplitPod.
Yes, the Murphy fight does have implications. If she wins, I think she would be next in line with 5 victories. That would only make sense.
Oh, I think the winner is getting the title shot.
No, Jojo just lost a title shot, didn't she?
She did. Again, well, you're talking about the Jennifer Maia loss.
Yeah. So, I mean...
That wasn't exactly yesterday.
She still may be a win away after this. And then, does Leon get to lose a title fight if he wins on Saturday? Yeah, probably.
Really? I'll go ahead and say probably not. I think that...
well, he'd be on a 9-fight winning streak at that point. And Usman has beat everybody else. So
Dana said Covington is next.
No, I know. Covington and then Leon Edwards.
Oh, well, you didn't make that clear at all.
Well, since Covington has already basically been announced next.
No, I think I think if Nate beats Leon, Nate will totally jump Colby in line.
No, I don't think so.
What?
No, you're not going to give Nate Diaz that title shot. Or actually, I don't know.
Are you kidding me?
Maybe Usman would do that, but I don't understand.
Of course Usman would do that for the money.
For sure, but Dana's already said the Covington fight is happening, so we'll see.
Dana's never gone back on his word, that's for sure.
Yes, stranger things have happened, but I just don't see that right now. So,
okay.
Yeah, if Leon Edwards wins, he's gonna fight the winner of Colby versus Usman. I would assume. Actually, no, I gotta put a caveat there. He would fight Usman if Usman beats Covington. If Covington beats Usman, that'll be a trilogy they run back right away.
Yep, I agree. Okay, next question from my man at ZanBando99, one of our OG listeners, most loyal listeners, brings the heat every week. Guys, give him a follow. Zan's the man. He says, once again, I have 2 questions this week. 1, outside of the top 3 fights, what bout are you most looking forward to at UFC 263? And I think we kind of answered that together by saying Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad, unless you disagree.
No, I'm actually, mine is that Dawodu fight.
Versus Evliov? Oh, and I think, okay, I'm more excited about Stuart Anders than the Dawodu fight.
Ooh, no way. Dude,
Okay.
those guys are, what are those guys combined?
Dude, Darren Stewart.
26-1?
Darren Stewart's a great fighter. You must be a casual.
I know, but those guys have 11 losses between them, and Dawodu and Evloev have one loss. What are they? 26-1.
Okay. They're both good fights.
That's a high stakes fight right there. One of those guys is legit.
Okay, Zan's second question is even harder. Who is right in the fighter pay argument and why? Paulo Costa or Dana White? #AskSplitPod.
I don't want to take sides here, but
Wait,
I will say this,
mean?
that Dana has a point with, it is.
For those that don't know, should we catch them up quickly? Costa pulled out of his fight with Cannonier saying he never signed a contract and he needed more money. He then cited the Paul brothers as an example and really said he needed much more money to agree. Then Dana reacted.
Dana basically said, well, go start a YouTube channel when you're 13 years old.
Then he said, fight yourself out of your contract, and then you can do whatever you want.
So I guess, there's a lot of, back and forth play there. But, the Pauls are unique in the fact that they have built a certain, level of intrigue and interest in themselves. And Paulo Costa has not. So there's not...
Yep.
Nobody is demanding to see Paulo Costa anywhere. And then to Dana's point, and I knew this was going to be what Dana fell back on, Paulo Costa got his chance to be a star. He fought the biggest star in the UFC for a title fight and had an absolutely horrible performance, which means when he was in position to maximize his worth and become that type of player who can have a say in his worth and have a say in his opponents, he actually had a horrible performance, and then someone leaked information that he was drinking the night before. So, yeah, I think, fighter pay is something that definitely needs to be looked at, but when it's coming from someone like Costa...
Wait, didn't Costa leak that himself? I thought he made the excuse that he had been drinking wine himself.
Well, yeah, again, that's not exactly... the kind of things you do, and then immediately start demanding that you're respected as a
But you said someone leaked.
fight.
You said someone leaked that he drank that night. He leaked that he drank that night.
Okay, well, which
is even worse. That's much more embarrassing.
Remember exactly, but my point being is he's damaged his worth, and what Dana's saying is, if you had built your worth in a way to where it made sense for us to pay you that kind of money, you get paid that kind of money. But what you've done hasn't gotten you there. So there's got to be a little bit of realization on Costa's side. I don't think he's the right fighter to deliver that message at all.
I mean, yeah, and then really quick, my quick 2 cents on it. Look, we could talk about fighter pay for an entire episode of 3 hours.
My thing is, and I'm just going to say this, the revenue sharing percentage in the UFC is absurd, and there's no other way around that.
Of course, it's completely unfair. But, the MMA media and the fans have been telling the fighters to unionize for what? Over a decade? And the truth is, only they can save themselves. The fans cannot save them, and the biggest misconception, the media cannot save them. A lot of people think the media can save them. The media cannot save them.
And when you and all your buddies buy the Paul versus Mayweather fight, you're to blame.
Wow.
Hey,
okay.
I'm just calling it how I see it.
First of all, I already told you I paid $7 for that fight. I also told you, I lit up Showtime completely. Everyone go look at my Twitter. I lit up Showtime like the 4th of July when my pay-per-view didn't work. I wasn't a company man. I lit them on fire.
Sounds like a real...
and then I said I'll never buy another Showtime pay-per-view again. So I don't know why you're acting like I'm this company man.
But you will, let's be honest. You're going to buy...
No. I'm not buying Paul Woodley. I got to keep... Listen, man, they couldn't deliver. I got to keep it safe and get an illegal stream.
Quit.
I'm just joking. I'm kidding.
Just quit making proclamations like that on our show.
That's a joke. I'm being sarcastic.
We've got so many questions. I got one here from Luke, I think. He said...
Luke, I think we're up.
If Brandon Mourinho fails to dethrone Figgy at UFC 263, do you think Figgy will remain unbeaten for the rest of his career? If he stays flyweight, even Kai and Askarov don't stand a chance, in my opinion. Bonus question: if he fought at 135, how would he do? I would love to see him versus Jan. Okay, both two great questions. I don't see if he does beat Moreno here. I could see an extended run for Figgy.
Yup, hard to see anyone in the current flyweight division causing a problem besides Mourinho.
100%, but like you said earlier, stars develop quickly in this game and come out of nowhere. So in the next 2 years, there could be, 2 or 3 contenders out of the blue. But I don't expect him to go undefeated for the rest of his career. I just don't think that's reasonable. Everybody starts to lose again towards the end.
Well, I think he's going to lose I think he's going to go up and challenge for the bantamweight title and lose.
Yeah. And I think he would do pretty good at bantamweight. I don't have the bantamweight rankings up, but I don't.
Would you like to see him versus Jan? Who you got in that? Luke wants to see Figueiredo versus
Jan is interesting because Jan's a small bantamweight, so I think that is one of the more interesting matchups.
Okay.
You think about a guy like Rob Font would be monstrous versus Figueiredo.
Sure.
Corey Sandhagen would be monstrous versus him.
True.
A fast twitch guy like Marlon Moraes would be a fun fight for Figueiredo. I know his stock's a little down right now, but someone think about Merab, who's a big, thick wrestler. He would be much too large for Figgy, I would think.
Yeah.
So I think Figueiredo.
You know what though? Figgy's a giant flyweight. I don't know if these people.
He's slight though. He's got small hips and he's a slight guy, even though he is big.
What do you mean he's slight? He's a very big flyweight.
Well, he's a tall flyweight. He's got.
Yes. He's like a Holloway. He's like a Holloway, sort of.
Yes, and Holloway's a slim
I see
guy.
what you're saying. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, he's a slight, slim build. He's not like...
But he's tall, very tall.
Right. He's a taller fighter, whereas someone like, you got Merab and Jimmy Rivera, Cody Stamen, and, even Cody Garbrandt's a bit stockier to an extent. I think everybody in the division other than Cody Sandhagen would be significantly stockier. But then again, him at 135 carrying that 10 extra pounds without cutting weight, he could look really big and strong. So there's some unknowns there. But I think he would fare well, versus certain guys, especially Peter Yan, because, they both are striking based.
Real quick, don't you think it's a little bit, I personally think it's insane a little bit, I mean in a great way, that Figgy kind of came around at the time he did, because when you think about it, flyweight was really struggling with Cejudo leaving. Figgy was not a factor during Cejudo's reign, and then it was almost as if the second Cejudo left, Figgy stepped up, and now flyweight's hot again.
Well, what's crazy is that's the division that the champions don't even want. So, for instance, Demetrius Johnson wanted to leave more or less. As soon as Cejudo got the belt, he wanted to leave. I mean, it would suck for Davis and Figueiredo to all of a sudden want to jump to bantamweight, in my opinion, because that's the division where the champion doesn't seem to want to stay there. But it'd be nice. I think he could probably put together 4 or 5 title defenses and really establish himself as, a top 3 or 4 pound for pound guy, which...
I mean, Figgy's already at 2 title defenses. If he gets through this one, I have to think he's going to get to 6 at least, because I think...
Yeah, well, I mean, you're looking at the names. There's really, as far as Askarov, maybe Pantoja someday, but other than
Pantoja can't beat him, no way.
No, he can't beat him, but he might earn a title shot. And that would be interesting. But as far as the Alex Perez's and the Brandon Royvals of the world, I don't see those guys contending with him at all.
I mean, didn't he just fight Perez in a title fight? He just whooped the shit out of him.
I'm just looking at the rankings, yeah.
258.
This is true. Wait. Yeah, he did. He submitted him in 2 minutes. Yeah.
Wait, maybe it's not 250. I don't think I have that number right. 250.
255.
Yep. Thank you.
But what I'm saying is the guys within the vicinity of title shots in the top 6, none of those guys other than Pantoja or Askarov have an intriguing case. So
obviously Brandon Moreno has an intriguing case, but we'll find
But
out.
if he loses this weekend, that's 3. And then Askarov and Pantoja, that's 5. And at 5, I don't see why he's not going to fight Benavidez again. He's not going to fight Perez again. You know, we're getting into the Matt Schnells and Rogerio Bontoran range. He's going to go to bantamweight before he fights there. So, anyways, long-winded answer to the question.
Real quick, last thing on this. I think he's going to go and challenge up for the bantamweight belt, and then also, unlike Cejudo, who was an idiot business-wise and dropped his flyweight belt, thus losing tons of leverage like a fool, I think Figgy's going to move up as flyweight champ, holding it like Israel did, and he's going to try from that position.
Yeah, I could see that, but, I mean, to me, that's a tough play because I personally feel like Israel's reputation has taken a hit from losing to Jan the way he did. You know, before
maybe
fight,
for right now. We'll see in a week from now, though.
Yeah, we will see in a week from now, but still, as spectacular as Israel could possibly look this weekend, even if he were to knock out Marvin in 2 minutes and look amazing,
no, that would be very spectacular.
Have a choreographed dance and yada yada. The fact of the matter remains is that the 205 lightweight champion pretty much nullified him and beat him. So
I thought Jan beat him 3-2.
He can never lay claim to the number 1 pound for pound spot anymore. Whereas before,
whoa,
I think
being very harsh.
Well, in the current vacuum, you can't claim that Israel Adesanya is the number 1 pound for pound fighter.
No, of
with
course
win.
not. Who said that? You're putting words in my mouth.
Is if you would listen.
I'm trying to listen, but you're saying number 1.
His reputation took a hit by challenging the weight class champion above and losing. I wouldn't want to see Figueiredo go up to bantamweight and just lose and go back and hold his featherweight title because I feel like it diminishes their legacy in a way.
Now that's interesting. We disagree here because what Israel did was he dared to be great. So you're going to punish him for taking a ballsy risk?
I'm not going to punish him, but the visual...
You don't believe in taking risks, huh?
Rory McDonald and Douglas Lima losing to the larger weight class guy. I think that damaged their reputations as champions for sure. Douglas Lima to a lesser extent.
I mean, that's a pretty controversial take. You think that they should be... I mean,
I'm not saying they should.
I hear you, but I also don't.
Do you understand what the court of public opinion is? Do you know what I say that, what I mean? It's an opinion of someone.
How do I put up with him? He's so condescending.
It's like you don't understand that, before Israel Adesanya lost to Jan Blachowicz, he was considered the greatest fighter walking the earth, the reincarnate of Anderson Silva.
No one said
he could be a dual champion. He could be the triple champion. We've never seen anything like this.
He still might win a second belt fight.
Well, he's still
Do not get it confused. He might win another belt.
But what I'm saying is he got turned away, and that certainly hurts
he lost
his
a decision
power.
3-2. He lost decision 3-2.
Yeah, and it was lackluster to say the least.
I don't think.
Anyways,
you think he was humiliated?
You're not understanding my point.
You're trying to say that he was embarrassed, and I don't agree.
No, I'm not saying he's embarrassed. I'm saying him taking the opportunity to fight up a weight class and lose to that champion rather than just stack title defenses actually hurts his legacy in the long run rather than helps it. So while 4 or 5 guys in history have been able to do it successfully in one woman, I don't see that always jumping up to the champion above is a great idea, no matter how special you are.
Okay, I think that's fair. I mean, I definitely think of the...
I'm more or less making a case why I don't think Figueiredo should just jump up to bantamweight for a title shot. I think especially considering bantamweight has a backlog of top contenders anyways.
Absolutely. Okay, we better keep it moving. We've still got some questions to go.
Is anybody still with us?
I'd hope so. So this is...
You got one queued up?
Yep. This is from our OG Eduardo. That's at Landa Crew. Everyone give him a follow at Landa Crew. He says, fellas, if you could have any job in the UFC, would you choose matchmaker, poster designer, commentator, or any other? Which would it be? P.S. Don't forget about Phil singing. Hashtag AskSplitPod.
I almost forgot with all
Thanks,
that.
Eduardo. I won't forget. I know I have to sing. Listen, Eduardo, I might not be perfect, but I do what I say I'm going to do. 2 episodes ago, episode 102, I made a bet with Fight Geek that I picked Garbrandt, he picked Font. This looks really bad in hindsight. To win, and then loser would have to sing. I lost fair and square. I have to sing today, and I do what I say I'm going to do. So you can look forward to that, everyone, at the end of the episode, so we don't lose everyone first. But if I could have any job in the UFC, it would be between matchmaker and commentator. Really, really hard one there.
Yeah, for me, no brainer. Matchmaker. I'm always loving to pick fights and analyze who should fight who. So yeah, I think matchmaker would be a dream job, no doubt.
I think I might have to go with matchmaker too. I think people might think I'd say commentator, but I'm actually I'm kind of a shy dude, to be honest. And I think I have a lot of respect. No, I have a lot of respect for the commentators, right? Most of them are former fighters. I know how hard it is, and I don't know if I could call out every single submission, for example.
Well, yeah, that would be definitely interesting. So,
I mean, it'd be challenging. It'd be challenging. Would it be challenging?
100%. I think that you can see nowadays, especially, people are more and more critical of that kind of thing. So as soon as you make a mistake, everybody on Twitter and social media wants to destroy you.
Rogan, to me, sticks out like a sore thumb now.
Yeah, you always destroying him sticks out to me as a reason why you wouldn't want that job.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I'm going to go UFC matchmaker as well, Eduardo. That's my answer. Okay, moving on. Who we got next here? Oh, I think we got... Yeah, go ahead.
I got one from Too Comfy queued up. You ready?
What up, Too Comfy?
He says, if Nate Diaz loses to Leon, would you do him versus Tony, and how would it go? And the second question, who do you favor in a fight between Cody and Sean O'Malley? Both great questions. If Nate loses to Leon, no, I wouldn't do Tony, because I think Tony's still intent on being a 155er, and Nate is intent on being a 170-pounder.
By the way, I would very much like to see... I agree with people that are interested in seeing what Ferguson at welterweight looks like, frankly.
Yes,
you have no interest in like if he puts on some pounds, puts on some muscle weight.
If you analyze his performances recently, he's been being held down by lightweights. So to go up to a bigger division with bigger guys and more wrestlers,
that's a good point, but he'd be bigger himself, of course.
More weight to carry and to get off the ground.
It's a good point. It's a fair point. All right, it's a fair point.
As much as it works for some people, it's hard for me to envision Tony, who's slowing down considerably, adding, that much weight and it helping, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
And the second question, who do you favor in a fight between Cody and Sean? I'd actually favor Sean today based on,
I think I would as well.
I think that Cody, he's a bit gun shy, and then Rob Font actually made him look kind of small and short in that fight. He fought at distance, and Cody really couldn't get inside, and that leads me to believe that Sean O'Malley would be able to fight at distance. The longer Sean O'Malley has to develop, I would imagine the better he's getting, and Cody seems to be on the downside of his career at this point. So, yeah, Sean O'Malley.
Yep. All right, we've got so many questions left, so let's keep it moving. This one comes from my man Juice at Friendly Sparring Podcast. Juice, what up? Great show. Make sure you guys check it out. And he says, gents, what is Brandon Moreno's biggest obstacle this weekend against Figgy? Hashtag AskSplitPod. Let me start that off. I think his biggest obstacle is underestimating Figgy because of the first fight. I think that Brandon feels like he's taken the best that Figgy can give, but I truly believe that Deiveson Figueiredo was a little bit affected medically in the first fight. He spent the night before in the hospital due to weight cutting issues. I absolutely think that affected the fight, and I think he's going to be surprised with the prime Deiveson Figueiredo power when Figueiredo knocks him out. Fight Geek, what do you think?
Yeah, that's That's the long version. But yeah, I think the power is what he needs to worry about. Davison Figueiredo is extremely powerful. Mourinho has a tendency to get into a firefight. I don't think he's going to be able to take too many shots. This time, I think Figueiredo, like Phil says, is going to be locked in. So I think Figueiredo's power is the number one thing that Mourinho has to worry about. Was that the question?
Yep, absolutely. Great answer. Okay, this next question comes from @LetMeLiveBruh. Love her. She is a great follow. Diehard Dustin Poirier. Probably the number one Dustin Poirier fan in the world, honestly. I'd say she's the greatest Dustin Poirier fan in the world. She's also mad cool. Guys, make sure you follow her. That's @LetMeLiveBruh, BRUH. She says, Leon Edwards seems to think that he is going to knock Nate Diaz out to win. If you see Leon winning, do you guys see him getting the finish, or do you see it more going the distance? Fight Geek, what do you think?
Yeah, just along the lines of my prediction earlier, I think it'll be a doctor stoppage with that eye. I think it's going to get busted open early, and Nate just has a tendency to get cut open. So I think it'll be a doctor stoppage. So,
all right. Yeah. And we've both already answered this question, but yeah. I think that I do think Leon's going to win this fight, as I mentioned earlier. I think Leon's going to win. Rooting for Nate, though. Rooting for him.
But how do you see it going? Finish or distance?
I do think that Leon is going to be unable to finish him, and it's going to go the distance.
Okay.
Yep. So This next question is from Garza. That's @JGuitarZa. So, man, these usernames are crazy. Guys, I try to help you get followers, but the usernames are crazy sometimes. I love you guys, though. @JGuitarZA. JGuitarZa. Okay, so this one's mainly for Phil the MMA Dude. What's up, you goddamn casuals? Okay, I like that start. Do you now understand why Brett's tweet regarding Breeze was fine, not speculative, and exactly how that situation should be handled? It was excellent journalism. #AskSplitPod. #AskALongTime Journalist. This is a fun one. So if you guys know what he's referring to, do you have any immediate thoughts about the Breeze situation and Brett Okamoto's immediate tweet, Fight Geek? Excuse me.
No, I did not.
Okay, so here are my immediate thoughts on it. So Brett said, this was his exact tweet. I'll read it out loud. Oh no, Tom Breeze has pulled out of his fight against Antonio Arroyo. Broadcast doesn't provide a reason why, but Breeze has dealt with anxiety issues in the past and is pulled out at the last minute before. Wish him the best. Great guy in my interactions with him. I then quote tweeted him, and I said, I respect the hell out of Brett, but this tweet seems irresponsible. Why speculate and jump to conclusions regarding his anxiety? You're better than this, Brett. And I stand by this 100%. I understand, everyone, that it's highly likely that Tom Breeze did indeed pull out due to an anxiety attack. That's not the point. Brett was speculating without any evidence, which he admits, by the way, freely admits. He was speculating, but he was reporting as a journalist. So I just thought that was irresponsible. And I didn't. It rubbed me the wrong way, Fight Geek. Do you think I'm wrong? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't see the original tweet, so I can't really tell how it was phrased, whether it was speculative or not.
I just read his tweet out loud.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't, quite grasp it all on the first time you read it on the fly on the show. But
I just thought you'd kind of kept up with, MMA.
With Brett Okamoto, no, that's not one I try to keep up with. But
he's like a top journalist at ESPN.
Exactly why I don't keep up with him.
Okay, all right, you hips. Oh, wow. Everyone, Fight Geek's such a cool hipster.
If it comes to, ESPN news, I can do without it. But
okay.
I guess I don't understand why you had a problem with it, but I guess different strokes for different folks.
Listen, guys, it's simple. All I'm saying is that Brett Okamoto, who's a top respected journalist, was speculating without evidence about a fighter's mental health and it rubbed me the wrong way. A little bit. It's not a huge deal.
Well,
It's not a huge deal. I'm not being overly dramatic. I thought it was inappropriate. That's all. I thought it was inappropriate. Is that fair? You think I'm wrong?
You're free to think that. I don't understand. What do you need, someone to reassure you that what
No,
you
but
thought
I got
was
asked
okay?
about it.
Oh, well, I don't. He asked you about it, so you answer it. I don't have any comment. I'm really indifferent to it, I guess.
Fair enough, hipster fight
It
geek.
seems to be, Twitter is a very speculatory world. So, I mean, I guess I take it with a grain of salt when people are speculating things like that, especially,
Well, that's why I'm saying it was inappropriate for Brett as a journalist. He's supposed to have journalistic integrity.
I know, but is it inappropriate when people, misreport on a leg injury?
No, you shouldn't be misreporting on anything, obviously.
Yeah, well, you know how the media is nowadays, so.
I mean, but even sports media?
I guess I don't understand what someone behind the scenes obviously told Brett Okamoto what happened. Yes or no?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he didn't just wake up and just, get a whiff of this. Somebody clearly, inside information passed this along to him. So how speculative?
So that makes it okay, though? But does that make it okay if he's
then it's
not
a different
citing
conversation because it's not speculation if he had the accurate.
Okay, I mean we could get into a 30-minute
But
talk.
Is it? Yeah, is it proper for him to publish that? Probably not. But I don't know.
That's all I was saying. That's all I was saying.
Well, I'm sure you've published a few things that weren't proper either.
I mean, I'm Phil the MMA.
Dude.
I'm Phil the MMA dude from Twitter. I'm not Brett Okamoto from ESPN.
You've been known to speculate, Phil.
Oh, listen, 100%. Do I speculate, guys? 100%. We all know that. I'm Phil the MMA dude from Twitter, though. I'm not Brett Okamoto of ESPN News. I think that's a different. Listen, everyone knows that I'm an opinion media personality more than a journalist, for sure. Everyone knows that.
You're not a journalist at all.
By the way, that's correct. Correct.
You don't want that kind of responsibility.
You thought you were hurting my feelings there. You thought you had something, didn't you?
No.
You did not. I agree with you.
You're not making any more false claims, but let's keep it moving.
Okay, definitely. This question comes from our man, Matt at GoGoSafa. That's at GoGoSafa MMA. Greetings, Phil and Mr. Fight Geek. Do you think Vittori has improved enough to become champion since his first fight with Adesanya? Also, if Nate wins, what's next for him? Rematch for the BMF, or will he come out, call out some fighter in Nate Diaz fashion? Hashtag AskSplitPod. So, first off, do you think Vittori has improved enough to become champion? I think we've kind of answered this both saying no.
I do think he could. Game.
He could.
Yeah, he could. I would say,
we both said is he by decision, so it's going to be close.
If I were to give it a percentage, I would say he has a 10% chance, maybe.
No, wait. Oh no. Way higher. 35 to 40.
Maybe 25 actually.
Way higher than 10, man. You're crazy.
So out of 10 fights, you think he wins 3?
No, I think he wins 4 or 5.
Yeah,
no. 4. No.
I don't think it's that close.
4. I think he wins 4.
Okay. So yeah, I think he's improved enough to be a competitive, but I still think Israel's improving, and he's going to be at his best as well.
Yep.
And then if Nate wins, what's next for him?
The Usman title fight. I'm telling you, 100%. Usman title fight.
All right. Well, I mean, you're painting such a vivid picture. I kind of am starting to agree, so I'll go with that.
All right. Okay. Next question. What do we have next?
I have one from Jay Harvey.
Nice.
He says, every week we see horrible decisions from judges. How would you fix it? Personally, I think it's unified rules. It should be unified judges' criteria as well. Particular actions and skills employed by the fighter gets a score to be tallied at the end of each round, rather than a judge's discretion as to what they think, since it can be so biased. And since almost none of them have MMA experience, sorry, I butchered that. I know it's a lot more difficult as MMA, but something needs to be done. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, first of all, great point, Jay. Something does need to be done.
Yeah,
It should be unified. Agreed. Got to unify the rules. It's ridiculous to have different rules in different states and regions. Ridiculous.
100%. It needs to be
Unify
a
the rules.
grassroots effort, though. It needs to be unified rules, and it needs to be the athletic commissions hiring people that are versed in MMA. We're still kind of siphoning off, the boxing judges and the boxing athletic commissions of the last 50 years. MMA doesn't have a stronghold like boxing does, and doesn't have the years and years and years of
I understand
built up equity. Well, that's the difference. I think,
here's my question for you, Figgy.
We're working on when they say we're working on a boxing model, that's what they're talking about.
Here's my question for you. Should the state commissions or the UFC, or neither, you can say neither, should any of them start being specific on exactly what constitutes, for example, a 10-8 round? This shall be 2 knockdowns and no less, or this shall be 3 minutes and 50 seconds of ground control and no less.
No, I don't like that, because there's too much gray area in mixed martial arts, and that's the gray area is the mixed portion of mixed martial arts, and you don't want to.
I do think if you knock down an opponent twice in a round, for example, you should probably get a 10-8.
You probably should, but not unequivocally, in my opinion. I've seen guys get knocked down, or people get knocked down twice in a round, flash knockdown, bounce to their butt, get back up, and be competitive. I don't think that's unequivocally a 10-8. So once you start doing that, then it's unfair the other way, in my opinion.
I just think in recent years it's appeared that grappling and ground control has been sort of punished a little bit, or just less rewarded.
And that's because all the judges only understand boxing.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Sense? All the boxing judges penalize the grappling and don't appreciate it. I think it's pretty obvious to see. And now the new unified rules that they've developed are trying to, eliminate some of that confusion, but they don't always use those. I mean, how long have they been the new unified rules and not been unified? At least 3 years or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If not more.
Why even call them the new unified rules?
It's a disaster. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. It's a disaster.
They're not unified and they're not new.
Okay, wait, we got to move on. This episode's getting too long. We're at 126 already. This is from the MMA philosopher at SmartDan51. Smart Dan, what up? This is a Split Podcast OG. He says, it doesn't look like John Jones is going to be fighting Francis, but if they did fight, would it sell more or less pay-per-views than the upcoming Wilder versus Fury 3 fight? What an interesting question.
Great. It's an unbelievable question, and it would 100% sell less.
Really? So what do you think Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3 is going to sell?
I mean, I'm not particularly familiar with the first 2 fights, but I would imagine 1.5 plus.
Yeah. Okay, so the second fight, for those that are wondering, it looks like it did around 850,000 pay-per-views, I believe.
850,000. So actually, I'll take it back. I'll say 1.2.
Oh, excuse me. 850,000 from traditional methods and over 300,000 from digital streaming services, generated in 1.2 million pay-per-views. Excuse me.
Okay, so yes, I was right. About 1.5 for that trilogy fight, I think.
You think it beats the second, huh?
100%. If, for instance, I just use things like this. My mom didn't care or watch the first fight. She saw the second fight. She will definitely see the third fight. That's kind of the natural progression of a fan in that. I definitely think that will get bigger. There's been so much controversy from the Wilder side. He's been on social media. Tyson Fury. I mean, those guys are never not in the headlines, and they're the heavyweights, heavyweight champion of the world. So, yeah, I think that'll be bigger. I mean, John Jones versus Francis, well, that's
I think it's doing close. Oh, I think it's doing close.
Very close, but it's probably more in the 1 to 1.2 range. I don't think it breaks.
It's gonna break 1 mil. It'll break a mil. It'll break a mil.
Yeah, it'll break a mil for sure.
Which is big.
But, again, Jones
has never broken $1 million, by the way.
Has Francis Ngannou?
No. Nope.
Exactly. So everybody just sees Francis and knows John and thinks that it'll, without a doubt, do these big numbers. John, has he ever broken $1 million?
No. Nope. So I just said he never has. Nope.
Right. So both of the main event fighters in one fight have never broken $1 million, and both of the other guys are coming off 1.2 million. So I think that.
But we can agree, Jones versus Ngannou is a super fight. I mean, that's a great one.
It's it's one of the greatest fights in UFC history.
Yeah.
But as far as crossover appeal to a casual audience, or I don't think that fight would have all that much.
Yeah.
By the way, no Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor in that fight.
It's worth noting like that. It's worth noting that if Ngannou's able to beat Derek Lewis in the rematch, and perhaps even Stipe in a trilogy after that, perhaps that makes the fight even bigger?
Well, you could say that, but then again, John has been on ice for multiple years at that point. How big is John really going to be outside of the casual pop?
Jones will always be Jones. He'll always sell a decent-ish amount.
Do you think 35-year-old John Jones or whatever, off 2.5, 3 years of not fighting, is going to be the same draw he was versus DC?
Absolutely not. But Francis Ngannou will carry the rest of that weight.
Well, we will have to see that.
Ngannou's about to become a superstar.
What did Ngannou versus Stipe do in their rematch?
Ngannou's becoming a superstar. He hasn't done it yet.
I don't even think that broke $1 million.
It definitely didn't. Oh, it definitely did not.
So that's what I'm saying, and that's against the greatest heavyweight champion of all time in a full UFC marketing campaign around him. So.
Yep. Okay. All right. So, what do we have next? Do we have anything left besides my horrible singing that I cannot forget? Because the truth is, I lost a bet, and I do what I say I'm going to do, so I'm going to do the singing.
Yeah, we're going to hold off on that because MMA by Milliken has a voice question.
MMA by Milliken, what up?
So let me get this all queued up.
Mikey, what's going on? Phil, what's up? It is MMA by Milliken. Your favorite girl, Phil, Lauren Murphy, is fighting this weekend. I know, aren't you excited? Well, listen, right? If you could change the flyweight division around, the women's flyweight division around, just have like your fantasy lined up. Both you guys, what would it be? Anyone, whoever you could put in. I mean, just the catch is that they have to be a flyweight. But who would you put in that division 1 through 5, just to spice things up? You guys take care. Have a good one.
Great question, but it's always dangerous asking Phil about his fantasies on air. So.
I love MMA by Milliken. Everyone follow him if you don't. He's also got a great podcast himself. What a great dude. A great follow. A must follow, I should say. I love this question. Sure. I love this question.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and rifle mine off.
Go ahead.
Women's flyweight, correct?
Yep, go ahead.
Valentina Shevchenko, no-brainer.
So, you're supposed to mix up the top 5 contenders to be interesting, man.
Oh, okay. The top 5 contenders.
But they have to be flyweight, so you got to follow that rule.
The most interesting girl on the list, in my opinion, right now is Andrea Lee. In my opinion, not saying any of them are going to beat her, but Andrea Lee, Jennifer Maia, Lauren Murphy. Let me see. Isn't Talia Santos really big?
All right, go ahead. Hurry. You're not doing well with this.
Talia Santos.
Yep.
Well, I'm trying to give answers here.
And you've got 4, so once you're last.
And Alexa Grasso.
All right. I also have Alexa Grasso as my number 5. All right, but let me go first here. So, number 1, I've got KGB Lee. I think that
You
she's
copied my notes.
an interesting factor. Yeah, right. Number 2, I promise you didn't have this one. Tatiana Suarez recently announced she's moving up to flyweight. I think she'll be a huge factor there. Number 3 is Jessica Andrade because she's still very good. Let's not disrespect her. Number 4, Jennifer Maia, who won a round, which is now a big deal against Valentina. And number 5, like I mentioned, Alexa Grasso.
Excellent. And I just found one more question. The one from Let Me Live, bruh, from last week that you forgot. So I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, yeah, I need to, by the way, I need to formally apologize. I apologize. Let me live, bruh. I forgot the question, and I promised I'd publicly apologize on air. Here's my apology. I'm sorry.
Okay. She says, with Cowboy's decline, how would you see Cowboy versus Alexander Hernandez 2 going?
Oh, my God. I hate that fight so much because I feel like Alexander Hernandez could win for sure.
Oh, Alexander Hernandez is finishing this version of Cody.
Yeah, that would be that'd be a bad fight for Cowboy right now, and I feel sick.
And then that would just give Cowboy a reason for a trilogy to come back.
Wait, I hate that fight so much. Oh my God, please don't make that fight. I hate that fight. I hate that fight. I hate it.
Well, yeah, like we said a couple weeks ago, I have a hard time seeing who in that lightweight division Cowboy's going to beat right now.
All right, is it time? Okay, is it time for me to sing? Everyone who doesn't want to hear me sing, I think you guys can go. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week. Right? We don't want to make people listen.
Go ahead and serenade us out, Phil.
I do my I do I see my love is a thing that you pray on. You know that the love is a beat. Everyone knows that it's nice to treat. Everyone I live on a backbone, down a way. I'm done.
Oh man, that was awesome, dude. Well done. Well done.
All right. So with that, everyone, if you can forgive us, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Hit subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. And with that, Fight Geek, take us away, baby.
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We are at Split_podcast. It's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next week. Peace.
Peace.